What's your reaction then to this delay?
Well, I think it was very interesting. So I haven't seen a lot of stuff from constituents coming in from the beginning, but it was on the 29th when we didn't leave. That's when this has all gone wrong. Up until then, people were prepared to give Theresa May the benefit of the doubt, but they knew that she had said she would leave on the 29th of March. And the big problem was, as soon as we didn't leave, you can see all the poll ratings start to crash, and it's wholly linked to the fact that leave or remain, they were expecting us to go. When we didn't go, it looked like a complete breach with the pledge that we had made, and that's a disaster for a political party, and there's no question that polling at the moment, I think it's very voluble and very flexible, but it's where it is now, and I suspect it's about right.
The Sunday Telegraph is leading on a poll of polls that they've done, saying that the Labour Party would be the largest party if there was a general election. Jeremy Corbyn in number 10. I mean, do you think that is the case?
Well, this is 3 or 4 years out from the next election, and therefore there's a lot to go. So I just cannot conceive the British public with Jeremy Corbyn's background and a party that is marred in charges of anti-Semitism and really ghastly misogyny and various other problems that they've got going on, a man who backs the Venezuela dictator who's been murdering his own people. All of these things will come home to roost. But the problem is,
Jeremy Corbyn will probably dispute with some of the
he may
pictures
dispute it or not,
there.
but he stands charged with supporting Maduro. When the rest of the world says Maduro must go in Venezuela. But, it's a kind of Marxism. And my point about this is whether people like it or they don't like it, none of that will be on display because it's all about Brexit at the moment. It's all about whether the Conservatives have delivered on their ability to leave the European Union. And we really have to get out. And we simply cannot fight the Euro elections. I gather dozens of Conservative Association members have now written a letter to the Prime Minister saying they are not prepared to fight Euro elections. It would be an utter disaster for us, and a disaster for the country. I mean, what are you going to say on the doorstep? Vote for me and I'll be gone in 3 months. It doesn't make any sense.
Will you campaign in the European elections?
Well, I always campaign for Conservative candidates, but I absolutely do not want to campaign on the Euro election ticket, which would be almost impossible to justify. And I think the public will ask, why are we going to spend 109 billion plus and add another billion a month to that by being full members of the EU when we could have left and we should leave. So I think the date isn't October at all. The date is the key moment in May when we have to put up electoral offices. If we don't put those up, then we're leaving before the end of June.
According to the polling today, your seat is one of the ones that's high risk.
Well, I have a seat that is marginal, like a lot of colleagues do, and we're fighting very hard. We haven't seen a massive change in that, I have to tell you, but notwithstanding that, I think it's important for us to recognise across the board the idea of a government run by Jeremy Corbyn with all those Marxist policies is just going to be a disaster for the United Kingdom.
But so you think your seat would be us split in?
No, I think I'll hold my seat because I believe I've been clear and straight with my electorate since the day I was elected, and they know my views on this, and they know my views on a whole range of other issues, which I've been very clear about. Social justice, set up the Centre for Social Justice, and very keen to see the worst off improve their lives in the best way possible, and that's lots of changes needed to our policy process at the moment. But the reality is, here we have this irony that the economy has a current account surplus. We have the lowest unemployment, the highest employment, the lowest youth unemployment, literally for decades. The economy is now seen as a very, very good investment by external people who are holding back because of Brexit. With all of those, and with the deficit down to 1%, we should be romping home in the polls. Why are we not? Because the one thing the public at the moment fears is that we haven't delivered on our word, which was to leave on March the 29th. Now, we keep extending, but extension, I've always said, is political death. We have to make a decision. Either they're prepared to modify their agreement, which is the biggest problem is the backstop. This
but
idea
they won't,
trapping
Northern Ireland.
Well, I went and saw them the other day. I think there is some scope for some further discussions about alternative arrangements. Why?
What?
Because the EU themselves have now said that no matter what, there will not be a hard border on the border of Northern Ireland, and they'll have alternative arrangements. Well, if they're going to do that for no deal, their threat that there would be borders, hard borders in Northern Ireland, is gone. That means now there is scope to say, well, if you are going to do that, and we put forward proposals months ago to them about how they would do it using existing customs techniques, then you can do it when you have the deal. And that would end the whole problem about the backstop.
So you went to meet with Michel Barnier this week, didn't you? Who was kind of leading the Brexit negotiations for the EU. Are you seriously saying that he told you the withdrawal agreement would be up for renegotiation.
No, I'm
That's
not.
the opposite that he's been saying, isn't it?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to get into this, what we actually discussed, because there is still some scope, I think. But the key bit that I think both sides now grudgingly accept is that the backstop does not work. It doesn't deliver what you want. It's impossible to run. Practically, it doesn't work, and it literally would cut Northern Ireland away from the United Kingdom.
Well, you don't like the backstop, but the EU and the British government are backing the backstop.
Genuinely, the EU knows the backstop doesn't work. It simply, physically, practically does not work.
Is that what Barnier told you?
I know, because you can't apply it. Under the existing backstop proposals, the whole of the UK would have to be doing some 250 million wet stamp pieces of paper at the borders. These are plucked from the Turkish agreement and dumped into this agreement at the last moment. It doesn't work, and they know it. So they're working on this as much as we are. So my point is, let's be honest with each other. Let's not wait to get this done. Let's do this now, and we can actually produce alternative arrangements that mean that Northern Ireland is no longer under threat to be left out of the UK, and we would then be able to have an agreement which actually works. That's a possibility. It's a very strong possibility right now, but we've got to get on with it.
Another possibility is staying in the EU. Are you worried that we might actually end up never leaving?
I believe we have to leave. I believe we will leave. Both parties were elected on manifestos that said they were leaving the customs union, the single market. The problem has been that inside Parliament, it's stuffed full of people who have never accepted the result. The problem has really been, and in a sense Mrs May made this clear, it's about those in Parliament who are doing their level best, and some of them are my party, to actually frustrate and stop Brexit.
Including some people, though, who support Brexit, who've refused to vote for the deal.
Well, the real problem has been that there is this concern that what we do is we allow a foreign power to interfere in the United Kingdom and carve one section of the United Kingdom out, what they call UKNI, which would be in a completely separate world from that of the UK, with borders between the UK and Northern Ireland. That's intolerable. I mean, nobody voted for that. We voted to leave clean as a United Kingdom, and I think we simply have to do that. And I really urge the Prime Minister to be very clear with them. We're not fighting the European elections. Any idea of doing that is disaster. If we make that clear today and say we are going to leave deal or no deal before the Euro elections, then I think the public will start to snap back and say, okay, these people mean business, and when we do it, that's the moment when we'll end all of the nonsense from these other peripheral parties like UKIP and the Brexit Party and the Diggers.
Don't tell Anna Soubry. Don't worry, she's left the studio now. Just while we've got you, you've called on Theresa May to set a date for her departure. When do you think that date should be?
Well, I know that the Prime Minister's already said she's going. She said she would go as and when the agreement was ratified, which was looking at around about May, June. I think those dates still stand. I think that what the Prime Minister has to do is aim everything now towards departure before the Euros, which would then allow her to step away, having done what she said she would do, get the UK out of the European Union one way or the other, and then we can have another leadership election and pick a new leader, which is the way that it has to be. She's accepted and agreed that, but I think that now needs to be set down. As I say, there are lots and lots of chairmen out there who do not want to fight the European elections, and lots who are fighting the May elections right now, who are really upset and concerned that they're going to have a backlash in what is a very important local election.
So there could be a grassroots revolt, if you like.
Well, there already is, to be quite frank. People don't want to fight the Euro elections. They want to get on with the May elections, and they want to do it in the sense that they can say to the public, we promised you we would leave, we are and have left. So we will leave, before the Euro elections take place. That is the key position to be. And by the way, I have real concern with some of my colleagues going out, lauding Jeremy Corbyn and saying somehow, we agree with quite a lot, or we in all of this. We used to say that he's not fit for government. My view is he's not fit for government, and nor are his policies, which would wreck the economy. We need to be very clear that in the course of this, we don't end up letting Jeremy Corbyn dictate to us that we stay in a customs union, or we have some kind of second referendum, or for that matter, we are aligned with the European single market. All of that given to us by Jeremy Corbyn is a recipe for disaster.
Okay.